Johnson saw the van first. He blinked in disbelief. Then, instinctively, he started to climb out of the aircraft and shout to his crew, "Look out! Get away from the bird! Get away from the bird!" The men and women moving the helo just stared at Johnson. What the hell was the lieutenant talking about? Maybe the damned heat had gotten to him. Then one of them turned around and saw what he saw. "God damn it! Stop! Stop!" one man shouted at the van. Only 100 yards away now, Muhammad had the accelerator on the deck. The van was shaking violently, protesting both the weight of the C4 explosives it was carrying and the speed the driver was demanding. Muhammad suppressed an urge to yell. He wouldn't give the infidels the pleasure of hearing him scream. As the van's objective became clear, the maintenance crew started to run away from the bird, looking to their officers and their chief for some rationale for what was happening. There was none. Yards away now, Muhammad gripped the steering wheel so hard he thought he would bend it. The men and women were scattering, and he could see fear in their faces. Perhaps they prayed to their God. What futility in that, he thought. The van smashed into the helicopter right on its nose, impacting the chin bubble. The wire connected from the bumper of the van and threaded back through its interior was linked to the detonator and set it off, causing the van's cargo to explode. Investigators would eventually be able to pinpoint the exact spot where the van struck the helo and calculate it was carrying approximately 400 pounds of C4 explosives. The noise was deafening, and the fireball was spectacular. This was followed by another, bigger fireball as 10,000 pounds of fuel in the aircraft ignited. The first explosion killed the half-dozen of the crew close to the Super Stallion instantly, while the second mowed down several others who had managed to scurry a little farther away. What the flames and the heat didn't do, the flying shrapnel did. Those killed instantly were perhaps the most fortunate, as others who were farther away died more slowly, their bodies ripped apart by metal fragments that seared their torsos and limbs. Emergency vehicles converged on the scene, too late to help most of the helo's crew. Urgent messages went up and across the U.S. military chain of command. CNN had a crew on scene in less than 4 hours. At 5th Fleet Headquarters in Manama, Bahrain, at the National Military Command Center in the Pentagon, at the National Security Council in the Eisenhower Executive Office Building, in the White House Situation Room, and in other headquarters, they all knew what had happened, but they couldn't answer the question, who had done this? Chapter 2. 2 weeks later. 14 Americans had died in the suicide van attack on the Navy's CH-53E detachment. The president had been sufficiently moved, or his image makers had told him it was the right thing to do, to invite the families of the victims to the White House to present posthumous awards for the men and women who had died in the blast. He had barely noticed her, but as other family members queued up to talk with the president or be comforted by the First Lady, a small black woman walked up to the National Security Advisor, Michael Curtis. "Are you Mr. Curtis, the National Security Advisor?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am, I am." "I'm Margaret Johnson. Harold Johnson was my son." "Yes, ma'am," Curtis continued. "We are all saddened by his death, and the death of his shipmates—" She wouldn't let him finish. "Mr. Curtis, tell me my Harold died for a reason. Tell me he didn't die just to keep the price of gasoline down." Curtis was thrown off guard. Why was she asking him this? "Ma'am, your son was a fine patriot, and he—" Again she cut him off. "Don't patronize me, Mr. Curtis. You didn't know my Harold, so you can't know that. His daddy did 3 tours in Vietnam. Army infantry, made it home in one piece, but the war took too much out of him. He died when Harold was little. I raised him and his 2 sisters alone. Harold got a scholarship to North Carolina."